Good day, everyone. The rarest women in the world are not defined by ease or comfort, but by they exhibit in the face of trials, relying on their faith as their foundation. These women carry within them the same resilience shown by the great women of the Bible, Ruth, Esther, Mary, and so many others whose lives were marked by hardship, yet they remain steadfast in their faith and in their purpose. Consider the story of Sarah, who in her old age trusted God's promise of a child despite her own doubts and the skepticism of those around her. She shows us that faith is not always easy, but it is always powerful. And like Sarah, the rarest women of the world trust God's timing even when the future seems uncertain. They know that God's plans are greater than their own understanding and that His timing is always perfect, no matter how much it challenges their patience. A woman who poured her heart out to God when she was barren and desperate for a child. In 1 Samuel 1:10-11, we see her anguish and her plea for God to hear her. But what makes her story so profound is not just the blessing she received, but her commitment to keep her promise to God, dedicating her son Samuel to His service. The rarest women are not just those who receive blessings, they are those who give back, who honor their commitments and who live lives of service to a greater cause. The rarest women are also those who embody grace in the midst of adversity. They stand firm like the Proverbs 31 woman who laughs at the days to come, because her faith is her confidence, not the world's approval or the shifting circumstances. These women are grounded in the truth of God's word and the knowledge that His plans for them are good, even when the world around them is unstable. Like the women of the early church, the rarest women are not bound by tradition or expectation. They are pioneers, leaders, and warriors in their own right. Mary Magdalene, for instance, was one of the first to witness the resurrection of Jesus and to share the good news with the world. She wasn't afraid to step outside the norms of her time, and in doing so, she became a herald of hope. These women remind us that our faith, our strength, and our stories can transcend the limitations of our circumstances. They show us that being rare isn't about perfection, but about courage in the face of imperfection. Through the ups and downs of life, the rarest women continue to walk in faith, knowing that it's through their trials that their character is built. They echo the words of James 1:2-4, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. The rarest women don't shy away from struggles, they embrace them, knowing that these challenges refine them, grow their faith, and deepen their understanding of God's power in their lives. And so each time life knocks them down, they don't stay down. They rise stronger than before, more confident in their faith and more equipped to face the world. They understand that with God, all things are possible. They live with the mindset of Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The rarest women understand that their strength doesn't come from their own abilities, but from the power of God working in and through them. Their lives are marked by courage, not because they are fearless, but because they choose to trust in God's plan despite their fears. They live with the boldness of Esther, the quiet strength of Ruth, and the unwavering faith of Mary, knowing that with God by their side, they are capable of achieving the impossible. And as you reflect on these women, ask yourself, what is God calling you to do? How can you too rise above your circumstances, trusting in His power, and make a difference in this world? The rarest women in the world are not defined by the absence of struggle, but by their response to it. So rise, step into your calling, walk with faith, and remember that with God you are more than enough. You are rare, and you are ready to change the world. What does it mean to have strength through faith in the face of overwhelming uncertainty? Is it simply holding on and waiting for change, or is it an active pursuit of trust in God's plan, even when that plan is unclear? The rarest women are those who, despite not knowing what lies ahead, step forward driven by the belief that God will carry them through. Take Ruth, for instance. She had every reason to turn away, yet she made the brave decision to follow Naomi into a foreign land. In the midst of tragedy, she chose faith over fear, trusting that God had a purpose for her life. Have you ever felt in a place where everything seemed hopeless and yet you were urged to keep moving forward despite the uncertainty? This is the essence of faith that leads to strength. It's not merely waiting for circumstances to change, but actively trusting God to reveal His goodness in the middle of the mess. Strength through faith is not about avoiding doubt, but about wrestling with it and coming out stronger on the other side. Think about Sarah in the Bible, who laughed at the idea of having a child in her old age, not out of mockery, but from a place of curiosity and wonder. She questioned, she wondered, but through that, she found faith. When life presents challenges, the rarest women do not question God's presence, but rather they become curious about how He will make a way through it. What if, like Sarah, we shifted our questioning to be less about our doubts and more about God's divine ability to turn impossible situations into miracles? This kind of faith is not blind. It's bold and courageous, rooted in the understanding that God is at work even when we don't see it.so in your own life. When things feel uncertain, how do you respond? The rarest women don't just passively wait for things to improve. They step forward, curiosity, expecting God to reveal His strength in their moments of weakness. Their strength doesn't come from having all the answers, but from knowing that the one who holds the answers is faithful and good. The deeper you lean into your faith, the more you'll experience God's strength in ways you never imagined possible. The rarest women are those who face adversity with unshakable faith, turning each struggle into a stepping stone rather than an obstacle. They understand that life will not always be smooth, but it is how they respond to the rough patches that defines them. These women are not exempt from hardship, but they find strength through it, allowing their character to be refined in the fire. They understand that pain isn't pointless. It has the power to transform and deepen their trust in God. Think about the story of Job, who faced immense suffering, losing his health, wealth, and family. While many would have turned away from God in the face of such devastation, Job remained faithful, saying, "Though He slay me, yet will I hope in Him." Job 13:15. Job's faith in the midst of adversity reveals a powerful truth. True trials may shake us, but they do not have to break us. The rarest women do not crumble in difficulty, they rise. They acknowledge their pain, but they do not let it define their future. Hannah's story provides a profound example. She cried out to God for a child, but her prayers were unanswered for years. Yet, in her pain, she continued to trust God. She didn't wallow in bitterness or anger. Instead, her prayers became a declaration of faith. And when God blessed her with a son, Samuel, she fulfilled her vow to him, dedicating her child to God's service. Hannah didn't just endure adversity, she allowed it to deepen her reliance on God's timing and purpose. But why is overcoming adversity so transformative? What is it that the rarest women understand about trials that others may miss? It's the awareness that adversity is not a roadblock, it's a catalyst for growth. It teaches perseverance, patience, and trust in God's sovereignty. When faced with setbacks, the rarest women ask not, "Why me?" but "What is God trying to teach me through this?" They ask with curiosity, looking for the lessons hidden within the struggles. This mindset transforms pain into purpose, frustration into fortitude, and confusion into clarity. Take the example of the Apostle Paul, who faced beatings, imprisonments, and hardships in his mission to spread the gospel. Yet, in 2 Corinthians 12:9, he writes, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Paul understood that his suffering was not meaningless, it was a means of displaying God's power. The rarest women follow this example, using their trials as platforms for God's glory. They face hardships not as a sign of defeat, but as a moment to experience God's sustaining strength. In your own life, when adversity strikes, how do you respond? Do you let it overwhelm you, or do you embrace the challenge as an opportunity to grow in faith? The rarest women take a proactive approach to their struggles. They don't just wait for the storm to pass, they face it head on, armed with faith and a resolve to persevere. Every difficulty becomes a test of trust, a way to deepen their relationship with God, and a chance to reflect His glory through their resilience. The rarest women understand that overcoming adversity is not a one-time event, but a continual journey. As they grow through trials, their lives become testimonies of God's faithfulness. Each victory over adversity makes them more prepared for the next challenge, more capable of standing firm, and more certain of God's purpose for their lives. Through adversity, they don't just survive, they thrive. They emerge from the fire refined, stronger, and more determined to fulfill their calling, trusting that every hardship is part of God's greater plan for their lives. The rarest women view challenges as invitations for transformation rather than threats to their progress. Their resilience doesn't come from avoiding hardship, but from navigating through it with faith and determination. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen their spiritual resolve, deepen their understanding of themselves, and trust in God's greater plan. Consider the story of Ruth, who after losing her husband faced an uncertain future in a foreign land. Yet she chose to remain faithful to her mother-in-law, Naomi, and trust in God's provision. Ruth's resilience wasn't born out of desperation. It was founded on her unwavering commitment to the values she held and her trust in God's ability to restore her. By the time she met Boaz, her resilience had led her to a new beginning, demonstrating that the rarest women never give up. They persist through the pain and disappointment because they know there is a purpose in every trial. Resilience also involves embracing vulnerability. The rarest women are not afraid to acknowledge their struggles. They do not deny their pain or act as though everything is perfect. Rather, they embrace the difficulty, knowing that by facing it head-on, they will grow stronger. In the same way that a tree's roots grow deeper and stronger after being buffeted by the winds, these women know that their faith and strength grow deeper the more they endure. The Apostle Paul speaks to this in 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. His words remind us that resilience is not about avoiding difficulty, but about persevering through it, trusting that God will see us through. The rarest women understand this deeply. They know that they can face their challenges with courage because they are not alone. God walks with them, providing the strength they need. Moreover, resilience in these women is not simply about enduring hardship for the sake of endurance. It is about having a purpose in the face of adversity. They are driven by the knowledge that their struggle is shaping them into someone greater. Like a diamond formed under pressure, their character is refined through their trials. They learn to trust in God's timing, knowing that every moment of difficulty serves to prepare them for what lies ahead. This mindset allows them to approach every challenge with a sense of hope. They do not become overwhelmed by their circumstances because they understand that this too shall pass. The rarest women are those who, instead of being defined by their problems, allow their struggles to shape their identity into something resilient and unshakable. Their strength is drawn from a deep, unwavering faith that God is in control and will guide them through every storm. In your life, how can you cultivate resilience? Resilience comes from consistently choosing faith over fear, trusting God over your own understanding, and embracing the challenges that come with grace and determination. The rarest women teach us that resilience is a lifestyle, a continuous choice to rise above, to endure, and to grow stronger through every challenge life presents. It is through their resilience that they leave a lasting impact on the world, becoming examples of unwavering strength and faith for others to follow. The rarest women understand that every action, every choice is guided by a deep sense of purpose. They don't simply go through the motions of life, they live intentionally, seeking to fulfill a higher calling. Their lives are a reflection of their inner values and their commitment to God's will. Like the Proverbs 31 woman whose strength and dignity radiate from her purpose for life, these women understand that true fulfillment comes from aligning their actions with God's plan. Purpose-driven women live with a vision that goes beyond their circumstances. They know that their purpose isn't defined by the world's standards of success, but by the calling God has placed on their lives. Their drive isn't fueled by external recognition, but by an inner peace and passion to live out God's will in every moment. This doesn't mean they don't face doubts or obstacles, but rather that they trust that each challenge is an opportunity to live out their purpose more fully. Consider the example of Deborah, a judge in ancient Israel. She was a woman of wisdom, leadership, and unwavering faith in God's plan. When Israel was in a time of turmoil, Deborah didn't hesitate to step into her calling. She didn't wait for someone else to lead. She answered the call, knowing her purpose was to guide the people and lead them to victory. Her example shows us that living a purpose-driven life isn't about waiting for the right moment or the perfect conditions. It's about being faithful to your calling, no matter how daunting it may seem. Purpose-driven women understand that their lives have a ripple effect. They lead not just by their actions, but by their example. Every word they speak, every decision they make reflects a deep commitment to living for a greater cause. This is true of women like Mary, the mother of Jesus, who despite the personal challenges she faced, chose to say yes to God's call. Her purpose wasn't about personal comfort. It was about fulfilling the role God had chosen for her in the grand story of salvation. The rarest women live with a sense of urgency, knowing that their time is limited. They use every moment to fulfill their purpose, from serving their families to impacting their communities, always with a sense of divine purpose driving them. Even when life seems uncertain, they trust that God's timing is perfect. They don't rush to complete their mission, but they move forward with confidence, knowing each step is part of a greater plan. What if we all lived with such purpose? What if we focused less on our personal struggles and more on the unique role God has for us to play? The rarest women know that when they are aligned with their purpose, they find true joy, and fulfillment. Their lives become testimonies of faith, resilience, and divine purpose, and by walking in that purpose, they inspire others to do the same. The rarest women understand that the true essence of empowerment comes not from being served, but from serving others. Service is the foundation of genuine strength and influence. While society often promotes self-interest and personal success, these women embody a different kind of power, one rooted in humility, compassion, and the desire to uplift those around them. Take the example of the biblical woman Priscilla. She was not only a wife, but a co-worker with Paul, guiding others in their faith and ministry. Priscilla's life shows that leadership doesn't require a formal title or position. It's about serving others with wisdom and grace. Her service empowered the early Christian church, and her legacy continues to inspire women today. Moreover, empowerment through service isn't limited to grand acts, but is found in the everyday moments of giving. It's about the mother who tirelessly serves her family, the teacher who invests in her students, or the friend who listens and offers support. The rarest women see the impact of these small but profound acts of service. They don't wait for someone else to make a difference. They step up and create change in the spaces they inhabit. Empowerment also comes from knowing how to use one's influence to raise others up. These women lead by example, showing that true leadership is not about control, but about inspiring others to step into their own purpose. Like the women who supported Jesus' ministry, who used their resources and influence to help further his mission. The rarest women recognize their responsibility to help others find their own voice and potential. They empower others by encouraging, mentoring, and guiding them toward the fulfillment of their own God-given purpose. The rarest women understand that service is not a one-time choice, but a lifestyle. It's a way of being that continuously nurtures the growth of others. Their acts of service ripple outward, impacting entire communities and leaving a legacy far beyond their immediate sphere of influence. They know that the real power in life isn't found in taking from others, but in giving, serving, and lifting others up to fulfill their potential. This service isn't always easy. Sometimes it requires sacrifice, as shown by women like Ruth, who left her family and homeland to care for Naomi, or like the countless Christian women throughout history who laid down their own comfort to serve God and others. Yet the rarest women embrace these sacrifices, knowing that it's through their service that God's love is made tangible in the world. And in the process, they find true empowerment not as something they grasp, but as something they share freely with others. In conclusion, the rarest women are a powerful testament to the strength that comes from living with purpose, resilience, and service. They are not passive in the face of hardship. Instead, they engage with life's challenges, knowing that each trial is a chance for spiritual growth and transformation. Through their resilience, they show us that faith is not about avoiding struggles, but about trusting in God's sovereignty through them. Their commitment to serving others without seeking recognition empowers those around them, creating a ripple effect of positive change. These women inspire not just through their actions, but by embodying a deep, unwavering belief in their divine purpose. Their lives are a legacy of hope, love, and enduring faith, reminding us all that the rarest strength is often born through the fires of adversity and selfless service.